Hey everybody, Ralph Havens here. And this morning I felt inspired to tell you a little bit more about what happened to me and to my wife Jen and to us, and a bit of my story. So to do that, I want to talk a little bit about my backstory, like what happened, like what got me to the point where here I am. And right now I'm in actually San Diego, California, taking a class, another class, and we're in Ocean Beach, and there's a flight path. So every so often the planes are going to go over, and I'll just pause for a moment. So bear with me for that. Okay. So my backstory. So I grew up in West Texas, a little town called Del Rio, Texas. We were actually like half a mile to the Rio Grande to Mexico. And my grandmother actually, and my grandfather were born in Mexico. But then they changed the borders, and they were still living in the same place, and then they were Texans. So that's where I grew up, and I'm mostly Mexican. I actually spoke Spanish before I spoke English. But my mom got remarried when I was really young, I think about 2, and my stepdad didn't let us speak Spanish. My granny used to tell me, Ralph, you spoke Spanish before you spoke English. And I'd be like, oh, come on, Granny. And sure enough, that's what it was. So now I can speak Spanish much better, but I grew up in West Texas. And life, we'll let the plane go over. And you could say from the outside, it looked like I was a regular kid growing up in a regular family, but there was a lot of hidden stuff, a lot of abusive stuff, a lot of pain inside our family, but it looked pretty regular from the outside. And when I was in junior high, my stepdad and mom decided to move us to Madison, Wisconsin. So my mom could get her PhD in some sort of speech and language pathology healing thing. And so we went back up to Madison, Wisconsin, and for junior high and the first year and a half of high school, I was up there. I loved it. It was amazing. But then we came back to Del Rio, and the funny thing was, everybody, or all my friends, we were all the same height when I left. When I came back, they had all grown to be about 6 foot, and I was still 5 foot something. So that was kind of funny. But my parents were given a lot of money. In today's money, it would have been in the hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of money, because my Uncle Carlos had died. He had been in a car wreck. He was in the Navy. He had been in a car wreck in Memphis, and he had left them a lot of money. And so they had bought a couple of houses in Del Rio, and a few houses. And one of them they let my parents live in, let us live in right next door to their house. And they had given us a lot of money. And so my stepdad and mom had decided that they were going to build a big clinic, and people were going to come from all over the world, all over the place, and get healing, get the speech and language healing done in Del Rio. So there we were with a lot of money and plans to build this amazing clinic, and we were also going to live there. And we actually did a lot of work. We built out the structure of the house, the septic system. We were working on it all the time physically, and we had it in the shape of an H for Havens. It was going to be an amazing thing, and I kept visualizing and just seeing, wow, my friends are going to get to come here. We're going to be rich. It's going to be an amazing place. It's over close to Lake Emistad. this is going to be amazing. And I just saw us living this really, really big life, but it never got totally finished. And it just sat there. My dad didn't plan it right. And the money ran out, this amazing amount of money. And he started to blame everybody except himself. So he blamed my grandparents. He blamed the city. He blamed everybody. And he never blamed himself. And so there I was, him smoking just tons of cigarettes, drinking lots of coffee, and complaining about why he wasn't getting ahead and it was everybody else's fault. And so it blew up the entire family. There's still parts of the family that I don't talk to. I just kind of lost track of and never got back to it. But he forbade us to talk to the rest of the family, to do all sorts of stuff. Everybody who had been out to get him. And so we lost it all. And so there I was living in a little house that my grandparents had next to their house. Sometimes I lived in their house, but I didn't have a bedroom. I lived in a corner of a room. There was always boxes piled up. And I still to this day don't even know where I kept my clothes. So, I was going to high school and everybody probably thought I was like a regular kid, but our family life was a total failure, and everybody else was supposedly to blame. So fast forward to San Diego, I didn't want that. I went to college and I hardly ever came back. And I found my way out to San Diego and became a physical therapist and had a physical therapy practice. And then it became an integrated manual therapy practice. And I was doing great healing work with a lot of people. I had 5 therapists working for me. And I had a beautiful house in Mission Hills, a beautiful part of San Diego. I walked to work. It was incredible. But I guess the universe had other plans for me. I always thought I wanted to live up in the Pacific Northwest in Vancouver or, Seattle or somewhere in Oregon. But for some reason, some stuff started to happen. So I lost some great office manager people and hired other people, and they started stealing from me and they started hiding stuff. And I was just doing my work and lots of stuff started to go downhill. At first, I didn't realize it. And I was starting to have to pay from my own home equity to make our payroll. And Jen was already with me, and things weren't going so well. And there's something that happened in just a moment. So let another plane go by. Sorry about that. So I also started to get sick. I thought I had a running injury at first, a lot of bone pain. And then it got to be where my kidneys were having problems. My GI tract was having problems. My liver was having problems. I was seeing lots of practitioners and nobody could figure it out. And they even told me it looked like you're dying. And so, go look and make sure you don't have cancer. And so I didn't know what was going on. We were about to have our first son, Ben, and my practice was losing money. I didn't know what was happening to my physical body. And to back way up, when I was a little kid, I used to have this weird dream that there was an airplane, a big jet airliner flying overhead, and I was playing down below like marbles or something with kids. And if somebody pushed a button in that plane, that I would die. I had this funny, crazy nightmare all the time. And throughout my life, it felt like, and part of it was probably my dad, right? That I was being attacked and somehow I was going to get caught and killed, and fail and die. And it just seemed to be something that was kind of running in the background of my body. And so what happened was I at this time in San Diego, when I thought I was dying and my practice was going downhill because other people had stolen from me and it seemed like people were attacking me, I found a way to get physically healthy. I got my health back, and I found a remedy. I found what had been happening to me. And along the way, we decided, you know what, let's shut this whole thing down and let's sell our house, sell our cars, buy a truck, get a tent, and let's go find where to live. So of course we went up to Oregon and we built an earthen house up in Oregon as part of a training. And we were gonna go find some land and be living like little hippies and homesteaders and live a different life. So so let me let another plane go through. Sorry about that. So Halloween weekend of October, after June, July, August, September, October, after 5 months of being on the road and trying to figure out where to live and living out of a tent, we found Bellingham, Washington. And we found this land. It's beautiful out by Mount Baker, Washington, with good well water and good land and nice people. And we thought, okay, here we go. Here's where we're going to live. And we're going to build some earthen houses, and we're going to grow food. And there's this house there that we can live in right now, but we'll rent it out later, and that's how we'll make our money. And we thought, okay, this is going to be our life, simpler life, rent out the house that we bought and build an earthen house for us and live a simpler life. Man, is there a lot of planes around here. But what happened was we all started getting sick. I got sick. My little boy got sick. My wife started getting this autoimmune red rash across her face. And we couldn't figure out what was happening till it happened pretty quickly. We found out that the house was really toxic. So just fast forward, we're sleeping outside. It's like 30 something degrees and raining. And we're blowing through tons and tons of cash, all the money that we had gotten from that beautiful house in San Diego that we had sold, burning through $100,000 to try to fix this house. And while we were doing it, we were sleeping outside and we weren't doing well physically. And I was trying to start a healing practice in Bellingham and over the internet, doing my energy work over the internet. And it was barely getting started and nobody knew me. And I was so devastated and I was just so mad. And I remember one time we were in our tent and it was like 34 degrees and raining and wind was blowing. And I was awake at like 2 o'clock in the morning and I knew Jen was awake. And she just told me, man, you have got to get happy. This is not working. And I was like so mad. I was like, if I could just get in my freaking truck and take us to Vancouver and get out of here, I would, but I don't know how to do this. We don't have any money. We're on credit cards. I don't know what to do. And I was just so freaking mad. But I knew that she was right. It's just that I had no idea what to do, how to change our life, my life. I had seemed to have run my whole life trying to fix this freaking pattern of failure that had run through my family and my life. And here it was again. I couldn't freaking believe it. I mean, I felt like a total failure to my wife, to my son, and to me. It was a disaster. And I actually would get up. Luckily, I could still run. I would get up and go run up this trail. It's beautiful out here, and run up part of a mountain trail and look out at Mount Baker. It's just beautiful with the Nooksack River there. And I would just tell God, literally, I did this numerous times, just fix this thing or just get me out of here. Just take me because I'm just done with this freaking way to go. And the thing was, I just didn't know what to do. So what did I want? What I wanted was to fix this thing, whatever this pattern was, and get my life back, to make money, to do my healing work, to be doing what I do. I knew I was good at helping people heal stuff physically, and I wanted to do my work again. I didn't want to be an earthen builder of houses. I didn't want to be a homesteader and a permaculture guy, growing food on my own. I wanted to do what I do, and I wanted to make money, and I wanted to have a good living, and I wanted to support my wife and my son, and to live a life, to live our life. So the deep thing was, the internal thing was, I wanted to solve this victim thing.
Good morning.
Hey, what's going on?
Just grabbing this box here.
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so I wanted to solve this fucking victim thing. So it had been running my life, and I wanted to be a success again. I wanted to provide for my wife and my son, and I wanted to really live a good life. Fucking Obstacles, right? Obstacles. So what did I hit? Well, I hit this wall. I just didn't know what to do. I knew how to fix up a physical body to help somebody. I didn't know how to stop this pattern of being attacked by the world, the failure thing. I just didn't know what to do. I literally felt like I was dying, but this time on the inside. And I experienced something. Something happened. You know, I started getting a lot of coaching. I started reading a lot of books. I started doing a lot of stuff. And what I found was that I did have to change my internal mindset to get happy. But first, I needed a way to get rid of this victim thing, this thing that had been kind of like a behind the scenes computer program in me that was running my life. I needed to know what to do, like how to get rid of that, how to make life good again on the inside, how to do things on the outside too, how to be successful, how to really make it happen for me, how to live a good life. And so what happened? What did I do? I figured out a way to do this. And what I first got was I had to get really clear about what I wanted. Like, sure, I wanted some money, and I wanted to have a house again and a home, and I wanted to succeed. And I wanted to clear any of this other physical stuff that had happened to my wife and to me and to my little boy. I wanted to fix this so my family could have a good life, to be happy. And I figured out that there's a root cause, just like there is with physical problems, there's a root cause of what was running this weird failure victim pattern in my life. And I figured out what to actually do to get my life and business really working, really succeeding. I learned how to get my work out to the world and do what I'm here to do. And I'm going to tell you the plan in just a minute. So what I did was I studied and I learned this stuff, and I started really applying some of this deep inner clearing inner beliefs and patterns and victim stuff out, and I wrote it all down. And that's what became my notes, and then it became a book, and then it became this masterclass that I had. So along the way, and I was doing it for me, I wanted to make sure I recorded all this stuff and knew how to do this, and so I could do it again. And what I experienced along the way was that I bumped again right into my own stuff. So as I was going through this process of learning how to get my life back, I bumped into my own stuff. And what I mean by that, it's kind of like when you start a business or you have a family or you do stuff, you know how it's, you get all your buttons pushed. So I got my buttons pushed. I bumped right into my own stuff, and it was painful. You know, the sleeping outside stuff was pushing major buttons. The not knowing what to do with my business was pushing buttons. There was a time when I came home, Jen did the work, mostly all the physical work to get that house fixed up, her and her dad. And one of these guys that was our handyman guy that helped for quite a bit of it, for some of it, but Jen did most of it. And we had to rip off the carpet and then replace and redo the floors. And my job was to take Ben out so that he wouldn't have to be in the dust of it all. And our tent was sitting outside. And I came home one night, probably like 9 o'clock after being out all day and then all night at the co-op, just hanging out with Ben, keeping him away from that stuff. And Jen had all of her old clothes on and her mask and her respirator thing and goggles. And she was covered head to toe in dust, just toxic dust. And I'm like, what the heck has it become, man? I got my wife sitting here working on this house. And so it was just like a really dark time. And I was trying to also figure out how to make money, how to do my healing business in the world. I had to figure out how to do this healing work and make it a business again. And so I didn't know how to do it. You know, nobody knew me up in Washington, and definitely very few people knew me worldwide. And I didn't know how to make it happen. So I studied with people and figured that out and got coaches and trainings and just studied like crazy and applied myself. And what was the end result of all this? I actually, I got my life back. I really got my life back. And I learned how to make and do my healing work at an even greater level for sure. And also how to do it and make a living, you know, to support my family. I got to support my wife and son, Ben, and now our other son, Baden. So I got to do my work. I get to do my work with people from all over the world. But what really happened, what I really got, plane. So what I really got was I got me back. Maybe for the first time, right? Maybe for the first time in my life. I got clarity on who I am and what I'm really doing here on this planet, in this life. And to see my wife and the way she looks at me now, and the way I feel when I'm around her and around my sons, that we're going to be okay. We're going to have a good life. We're having a good life. I got my sons to see how hard I've been working and succeeding, and knowing that I'm doing this for us, for them. And what I really got was stopping this pattern that had been running like a computer program in my life, this victim pattern, this failure pattern. Once and for all, the buck stopped with me. And I really learned how to shift it so that it's absolutely done. So that's what happened to me. And here I am in San Diego again, but I'm taking a class, staying with some friends in Ocean Beach. And I just woke up early, and I wanted to let you know this morning in San Diego, as I'm sitting here, what happened. And there's been a lot of obstacles. You saw a guy walking by, planes. I wanted to put this on Facebook Live, but couldn't figure it out exactly yet. So I have it on YouTube, and I'll do it again over Facebook Live or somehow post this too. But I wanted to just let you know what happened. So for those of you watching, know that I appreciate you and feel truly blessed and happy. And all these obstacles and this stuff has been part of what's made me me. So I thought it might be something that inspires you. And I'm about to go to class, and I will see you all very soon. All right, let's get out there and live, everybody. Let's really live. Much love.